So I've pinned the instructions in the chat. Feel free to reference them there if you have any questions. Other than that, I just want to take a minute to introduce myself and our panelists. So my name is Kara Neal. I am the Director of Programs at Service Year Alliance and also a proud Habitat for Humanity AmeriCorps alum. And I'm thrilled to be joined today with our awesome panelists, who many of you may already know either from our session yesterday or personally. So I'm going to pass it over to both Katie and Jennifer so they can share a little bit about themselves. Can you all introduce yourselves briefly for our audience? We can start with Jennifer and then move to Katie.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I guess depending on your time zone, you might be a little pre-afternoon, but I'm here in Central Time Zone in Texas. So my name is Jennifer Abdallah, and I'm a program manager with City Squares AmeriCorps program. We operate in North Texas, primarily in the Dallas and surrounding communities. And we have a multi-focus intermediary program where we place about 330 members a year with about 40 different host sites. And we also have been an impact community for a few years now. As a Dallas collaborative, we have about 10 major national service programs that collaborate locally. And so I'm happy to share more about that with you today.
Awesome.
Hi. My name is Katie Diaduju. I'm sure some of you might have seen me at the last panel. Yesterday, I am the Civic Engagement Manager at the United Way of Genesee County and help run and support the Flint National Service Accelerator. Very sad that we couldn't welcome you all to Flint in the Eastern Time Zone. And looking forward to just sharing more about the work that our AmeriCorps members are doing in the community and the ways that we're supporting their service year to help them have a better impact and have a better service year and their post-life after AmeriCorps journey as well.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing. And I know Katie, Jamie Lee spoke yesterday regarding the Flint panel. So in the Flint panel regarding the Flint Impact Community. So we're going to try not to duplicate information, but hope to just dig a little bit deeper into what you all are doing in that community. I know, Katie, that Jamie Lee referenced my next question in the larger panel yesterday. So I'm going to pass this first question over to Jennifer. Jennifer, can you share a little bit more about how your collaborative work to support Corps members got started?
Absolutely. So we started collaborating really at the ground level, at the program coordinator, program manager level, a little over 10 years ago. It was primarily those of us AmeriCorps programs who were funded through our state commission. So we had common expectations to uphold in terms of our service projects, our Life After AmeriCorps trainings. And so the leaders at that time just really wanted to collaborate and work smarter, not harder, and tackle those larger events together. So that has grown over the years to having leadership of those organizations meet from time to time to try to get more of a strategy going. And that effort was really bolstered by our involvement with Service Year Alliance and trying to think more strategically beyond just kind of tackling those common challenges and meeting common needs. So we're still working to get to a higher strategic level, but it really just started as a way to address needs that all of the programs had.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And Katie, I wonder, as a follow-up, if you could just share a little bit about what you found to really be the main benefit to supporting Corps members as a collective.
I think we can, there's obviously the benefits of working more efficiently and effectively for the program staff, but I think it's really benefited the members and then their impact in the community because they're finding ways to collaborate across host sites. And so it's strengthening our nonprofit network, it's strengthening our community impact, and it's strengthening Flint as a whole because, AmeriCorps members, they're talking with each other, they're meeting each other, they're working together in trainings and networking opportunities and national days of service, and they're finding ways to connect the dots that a lot of us on the program level have not seen before. And so that's definitely the biggest impact we've seen with the accelerator.
That's wonderful. And Jennifer, I know you explained a little bit about the origin of your program and how you all got started in this work, but what do you feel are some of the benefits for you all in particular supporting community-wide training for Corps members as a collaborative?
I think helping members of individual programs see the full scope of what's available in national service in the community. As we all know, AmeriCorps historically has this best kept secret challenge. And so a lot of people will find out about an opportunity at a specific program, but they don't necessarily know the breadth of what's available in terms of service positions. And we have an interesting spectrum in our community of some summer-only positions, some semester-only part-time, as well as some full-time, full-year positions. And so we've seen people come in with a shorter commitment or a briefer term of service, learn about these other opportunities, and then go on to do a full year and kind of build their pathway like that. So I think just knowledge of what else is out there is another item that's been really helpful in addition to the type of things that Katie mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear you talking a lot about recruitment. I'm wondering if we can touch a little bit on some of the training components. So what are the specific types of trainings that you all offer to core members as a collaborative, or that you work with other programs to offer? And either of you can answer.
Sure, I can start. So we do monthly accelerator meetings. And so those are monthly meetings that all, normally it's just state, Vista, and national members are joining those. But obviously the AmeriCorps seniors and CCC teams, when they're involved, they're welcome to join us as well. So we use those both as networking times, and then we also do professional development. So we have special speakers come in, usually local speakers, to talk anything about from civic reflection to financial literacy. We also have grant writing workshop courses. And so we have an 8-week grant writing training. I think we touched on that yesterday as well. We've done CPR and first aid. So we have some more of the hard skills. And then we also reach the soft skills as well. We just did an emotional intelligence training, which was a huge hit for our members, as well as some communications and conflict resolution as well.
That's wonderful. And I wonder if I could dig a little bit deeper there before kicking it over to you, Jennifer. So I know you mentioned the civic reflection piece, Katie. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about what's included in that component. And I'll name for folks that are listening that at Service Year Alliance, we really recognize that civic engagement and the development of cultural competence skills in core members really develops these lifelong citizen leaders that we feel like are critical to communities, long term. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to, one, that civic reflection training, kind of what's included there, but also what are the opportunities for core members to gain those cultural competence skills, not just in formal trainings, but also through interactions with one another.
Yeah, I would say that currently we don't have like a very formal, I know there are, specifically, I think in Texas, there's a great civic reflection training for AmeriCorps members, but we usually do small civic reflection during those accelerator meetings, and we're actually looking to do a more formalized one this fall, and so that's why it's top of mind. But we have found that because most of our members within the accelerator, they're actually coming from Flint or Genesee County. So they're able to talk a little bit more about, why are they serving their community that they came from? Mm-hmm. And other members who might be from different areas of either Michigan or the country, they're able to connect more and have, that shared experience and learn from others who have different, cultural backgrounds, or, we have members coming from diverse backgrounds, either ethnicity, age, education background. And so having those opportunities to reflect on, okay, why am I serving? Why am I here? What is my impact? How is this going to help Flint in the long term? Are always, top of mind for us in our networking times. And then the accelerator meetings in which we talk about civic reflection.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Jennifer, I know I'm going to backpedal a little bit here and go back to the original question, which was really, what are the trainings and reflection opportunities you all are offering individuals? And if you want to dig into some of those components, I'd be interested in hearing more, and I'm sure our participants would as well.
Absolutely. So we, like I shared earlier, are kind of a collection of programs that are all kind of doing our own pre-service orientations, our own onboarding. We have our own cycles of service term dates. And so for other communities where that is the case, the way that is easiest to start with the common things is the required events. And so we really tried to capitalize on Life After AmeriCorps as kind of our primary focus area, to come together to use all of our networks in the community to bring in speakers from different college and university programs, from local businesses, The one that stands out to me the most in memory was, I think, the last one we did pre-COVID. We had a really robust activities fair style networking session with professionals from the community. So we had like 20 different professionals at 20 different tables. And there were groups of, 8 to 15 members that would rotate, and we would like ring a bell and they could have 10 minutes, kind of like speed dating with professionals in the community, with people representing higher education. We tried to get the hiring team from the local school districts there because a lot of our Dallas programs have an education focus. And so that has been the most robustly managed and planned training that we've done jointly. On the civic reflection side, we've also worked collaboratively several times for Martin Luther King Day of Service. And one thing we've really emphasized in recent years has been having a local civic leader from whatever community we're supporting on that day come in and share a little bit about that community in particular. And like Katie shared, we do have a large number of people in the Dallas area programs who are local community members who grew up in the neighborhoods where they're serving their community. In addition to some larger national programs like Teach for America and City Year and Reading Partners, where people will relocate and are new to the area for that year. So getting them that cross interaction between programs of, people who grew up in this community and people who are new to the community, as well as relying on our local experts to kind of give some of that education beyond just painting a school. What is this school? What is this community's strengths and challenges, and trying to add some of that context for them when we do joint events.
That's wonderful. And I really hear you naming a couple of different things here, which is like ensuring that the members understand community assessments of what it takes to what the community really needs and how they're meeting that need, right? There's also the incorporating civic leaders that are already in leadership roles in your community. I know that Sonali, who spoke yesterday as a keynote speaker, used to work with Stockton, and Stockton would, during orientation, have their members meet with elected officials in the community. And it really made the members feel like they could one day be in a position like that, right? So I think that's a really critical component. But I also hear you talking about pathways to employers, pathways to higher education. Katie, I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit how you all in Flint engage Corps members with potential pathways and really introduce that as an alternative, as an option for them after service, and just speak a little bit to that. And then I'm going to open it up to folks to start asking questions from the participants.
Yeah, I think just like Jennifer mentioned, it's Life After AmeriCorps Day is definitely one of our big events. A great way to make it easier for our local program directors is to work together to host that. And so we have different, usually AmeriCorps alumni, local AmeriCorps alumni who have served themselves in Flint and are now doing amazing things in the community, whether it be in government, in city government, whether it be in our nonprofit community or in the private sector. So we're able to get those alumni to come back and speak to AmeriCorps members and say, hey, this is how my service here helped me get to where I am today. And so we've had members be able to chat with them and share their stories and ask questions. Okay, how did you do this? What was, X, Y, and Z? How did you get your resume out? And so that's been really beneficial because it's people who were in their shoes. And then throughout the year, we're working on those professional development trainings that are definitely resume boosters. We host resume review workshops and other different career building events to help develop the members, because we understand that host sites might not have time for that. Host sites are doing the work on the ground. And so the accelerator steps in to help, okay, how can we support the member after their service year is done?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to open it up now to folks in the chat. I don't see anything in the Q&A box now, but just wanted to name that for our participants that are watching. Really encourage you to put questions in the Q&A section. If that's an area that you can't find on your screen, feel free to just throw them here in the chat. I can moderate them there. I'm going to give folks about 30 seconds to do that. And if we don't have anything in the Q&A, I will move on to a few other questions. not quite 30 seconds, but I'm going to let folks add questions if they have them as we go, and I will go ahead and ask a few others that I think would be really valuable for some of our participants. So I know we're talking a lot about core member training here, and you all have been really explicit about the things that you are promoting and how you're doing that as a community. Wonder if we could talk a little bit about funding those trainings and opportunities and what that looks like for you all. I know that for a lot of communities, it's this ethereal, great idea. Yeah, we could absolutely do that. But like, where's the money going to come from? And how can we support that from a staff capacity perspective? So if you all could just share a little bit about how you do that on your end, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I can start because our original budget was zero for any of these collaborative events. And so I know a lot of communities might be in that position right now. We really kind of cobbled together, this program has budget for pizza for this one event. We utilized our public library quite often for meeting space. We had some nice options there that were either free or very, very low cost, utilizing each other's space, utilizing each other's networks for speakers. So we were able to, for several years, really make some good headway there. And then there was a year where our state commission had some additional dollars available mid-year, and our program specifically that I work for was able to take that on into our budget and be able to match it because of our program design to use those funds for regional collaboration. So it was kind of an unexpected opportunity to have funding for that. And it was so useful that we have now incorporated it into our annual operating budget for our program that we kind of administer on behalf of our collaboration in the Dallas area. So it's not a lot of money. I mean, it's less than $10,000, for a whole year of collaborative events. And so we are really strategic with getting the most bang for our buck with how we use that. But I think having access to even just a one-time opportunity of funding gave us enough perspective of how helpful it could be that we prioritized including that into our operating budget. So not every community may have a program that has the latitude to do that. But I would say if something comes along, even if it seems like it might just be a one and done, sometimes that can open up people's perspective of how helpful that might be going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're really naming here is that it didn't all happen at once, right? Like it takes time, right. Like a little incremental kind of morsels of support from one another over time. And I think that's really important. Katie, anything you wanted to add?
No, I think our community is a little unique right now in that we have the generous support of the Mott Foundation, and I see Carrie is on the call here, and so we really appreciate that support because it allows us and allows the programs that are within the accelerator. They don't have to put there's no financial strain on them for some of the work that we're able to do, and it's also been great. We collaborate across the community, and so a lot of our programming is low cost because we are able to get trainings from our partners or other organizations who are able to share or offer their host site for training locations, pre-COVID. So we've definitely been able to just strengthen our AmeriCorps network by utilizing the different expertise of our nonprofit partners.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question in Q&A. I just want to make sure we address that before we move into our next breakout session. So Allie has asked if you can touch on trainings that have been well received by members. And so just to kind of to touch on that a little bit, I know that you all have expressed trainings that you have done time and time again and that you continue to do as part of your collaborative. But if you had to name one or two that are very well received, that your kind of alums come back and say, this was super valuable for me, what would you identify?
I can start with one that I didn't think people would be interested in, but someone really sold us on it was with Life After AmeriCorps, we had a session on boards and commissions of local government and how to become involved in that, at least in our county structure and city structure here in the state of Texas. There's a lot of unpaid kind of community member advisory positions that are always needing to be filled. And so we had some folks who had been in that system a long time and someone who had been like a brand new advisory board member for a city department and just shared with members that's a thing they could do. Like you could apply for this if this is an area you care about. It's just one of those ways to influence change and be involved in the community that I think was kind of just mystical and unfamiliar to members. And then another I'll say that was really well received was one-on-one resume coaching. One year we were able to bring in career services staff from the local community college who did that for free. It was kind of part of their mission. They were able to share about classes at the college as well. But we had a number of people who do that every single day as part of their role at the college. We had members sign up ahead of time who wanted to bring their resume and have a one-on-one time slot with them. And that was really popular too.
That's great. And yeah, we at Service Year Alliance also hear very frequently that core members and alums alike, even after service, really, really value that resume training. So not surprising, but very great that people enjoy that. Katie, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we've talked about our grant writing workshop, but it honestly is one of the most favorite courses that we do. And it has been an 8-week course, and we were able to actually do it over Zoom this year, which I didn't know how it would work out, but it actually went over really well. And we are able to offer mini grants through that workshop. So $250 mini grants that members can use at their sites. So it follows all of the AmeriCorps fundraising policies. And then another thing, this isn't a training, but I'll say this is something that our members really love about the Accelerator is we send out weekly newsletters about different community events, and AmeriCorps members can send their events through the newsletter. And so that has been a really great communication tool, especially during COVID when it just feels like you're not connected. And so we send out a weekly newsletter, and we find that we have a great open rate in those, and that members in our survey of them, they really have appreciated having one place where community events, AmeriCorps events, and Accelerator events are all in one place.
That's wonderful. And I think that, while it's not an official training, it absolutely falls in that bucket of like training supports and resources, right? Because members are always looking for resources. And so I think that's really great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, great. So we have about 10 more minutes. I have one more question, and then I'm going to move into hearing a little bit from you both about what the dream is and what you'd like to see happen in your communities next. So before we move on to that, I just wanted to quickly ask if having core members come together across programs positively impacts the host organizations they serve to create a more effective nonprofit ecosystem within your community. And if you could speak a little bit to that, that would be awesome. And Katie, we can start with you, and then Jennifer can go next.
Yeah, I definitely think that it builds a stronger, it impacts the host site in a positive way, because host sites are introduced to nonprofits that they might not have partnered with before. And AmeriCorps members are finding ways to get the word out about other programming. For example, so one of the programs I actually am the program director of is our Opioid Abuse Prevention Corps. And one of the members, through an Accelerator meeting, was able to talk to a community school corps member who was doing a food drive. And she was able to partner with them, go to the food drive, and put information about their programming for opioid abuse prevention in all of the bags that were being passed out. Or, for example, we have a member who is helping with community gardens. And she's donating food to a host site who gives those away at a food pharmacy. And so people get prescriptions from our local hospital to go to this food pharmacy to get locally grown food that's done by another AmeriCorps member. And so we have AmeriCorps members at each step of the process, and each member is able to help out at the other host site when needed, or they're able to partner together to do different events that are related to nutrition. And so we just see all of these examples of AmeriCorps members that are bringing host sites together and strengthening the impact and connecting the dots, as I said before, where previously there weren't those connections or those ties.
That's really incredible. Jennifer, anything you'd like to add? Things you've heard from your members, your alumni, or your host organization?
Yeah, I really would just echo the same. It's just, there's so much in our community. I mean, Dallas is a huge metro area. And so it's impossible to kind of come into your service experience knowing all of the resources, knowing all of what's available to people to meet their needs. And so, yeah, all of that cross-pollination and networking, and the more people learn about what else is out there, really strengthens their ability to, support their service beneficiaries.
That's awesome. Well,
And-
thank you both. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
Sorry, if I could add a note to it. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I think that the impact community and the accelerator, I suppose, at least in our case, we found that the cores that have only one member within them, they're usually a national program or a state program that only have one or two representatives in the city. They have found a huge benefit from being a part of a big, an AmeriCorps network and getting plugged in. So they're not feeling alone within those first 3 months of service can be very lonely if you don't have any other core members to, commiserate or get advice from. So that's definitely been an additional benefit to both the host site, who might be, the only host site for that program.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I really have heard across this entire conversation with both of your responses, is like that cohort experience and how critical that is to the development of the member as well. So really appreciate you adding that at the end, Katie. That's really great. All right, so I'm going to open it up. We don't have any more Q&A. I'm going to open it up to the two of you to just kind of share with us in these last 5 minutes. What is the dream? What is your impact community doing next? What are you all really hoping to deliver on in the coming years? Just would love to hear more from you on that. And whoever would like to go first is welcome to.
Yeah, I can kick us off. Like I said, we've been aiming toward a more high-level strategic approach in our community to get beyond kind of the program level collaboration. And our vision right now is really to either create or utilize an existing platform to really communicate to every single community member that there is a point of entry for them at whatever life stage they are at, however much availability they have. So we're partnering with our local volunteer center, which is called Volunteer Now in Dallas, to work on that plan so that someone who wants to volunteer at a large event one time a year with their family, all the way to someone who wants to do a full-time year of service, that we do a better job of communicating this spectrum of opportunities, that you can be a one-time event volunteer, you can volunteer regularly, you can be a paid AmeriCorps member for just the summer in between, your college years, all the way up to paid service for a full year, a full service year. And so because we have such a variety of commitment amounts and dates and areas of focus as well, we know that is impossible for one community member to find in a Google search. And so we're hoping to improve our technology platform to kind of concierge people to find the best fit for them, in hopes that once they get the service bug, that they'll become lifelong leaders in that area.
That's awesome. Katie, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would say immediate goals of ours is definitely the recovery from COVID and seeing, programs that suffered with retention. And so focusing on, okay, how can we retain these members in Flint? How can we bolster our existing slots that are in Flint? And so that's through the recruitment piece of helping programs recruit as a collective. That's with maybe adding different benefits for the members themselves, whether it be housing or transportation, or finding the gaps. I think Brent mentioned yesterday or earlier this afternoon about, finding the reasons that members were dropping out. And so that's something that we definitely want to figure out and focus on. And I would say long-term goals is we want to be flexible and nimble as new cores are coming and new initiatives for AmeriCorps are coming down the pipe, that we are ready as an accelerator to receive those in Flint and to be one of the first ones to grab hold of any new AmeriCorps initiatives. So that's really our recovery currently, but also preparing for any new cores or AmeriCorps programs that are coming down.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both for sharing and for that insightful feedback. I know we are 2 minutes to time. I'm going to go ahead and transition us and give folks a little chance to transition to their next breakout room. So thank you all for participating, and a big thank you to our panelists for their participation in this session and the upcoming session. We're going to go ahead and give you 5 minutes to transition into another breakout session. You can click on the sessions tab and see what else is available to transition here in 5 minutes. If you asked a question and if you had a question and were unable to ask it during this panel, you can reach out directly to our panelists via private message. Otherwise, thank you again for joining, and feel free to reach out to an organizer if you have any questions. Have a great day, everyone.